This video is going to go through 3D, Pythagoras and trigonometry. So it's basically exactly the same as 2D, it's just you're dealing with a 3D shape rather than a 2D shape. So the first one here is to calculate the length of AC. Now AC is going to be the line that joins A to C. So we can add that in. Ideally, I should be using a ruler, but that would be that line there. So if we're going to work out this length here, it's all about really looking for right angled triangles in that shape. So just to give you some indications of where we've got right angled triangles, on this side over here, if I joined B to R, that would make a right angled triangle here. The right angle would be over here. The one that I've made here between A, B and C, there is a right angle here because the bottom of the cuboid is just a rectangle, isn't it? So this angle here would be a right angle. Likewise, you've got them on other sides as well. So if you're looking at the top, if you drew a line across, there'd be a right angle here. So anywhere that's a corner on one of the sides is going to be a right angle basically, because they're all made up of rectangles. So if I want to now find AC, we now know that this is a right angle triangle, and so therefore in right angle triangles it's either going to be Pythagoras or trigonometry, as in SOHCAHTOA, because those are the two things that we know work in right angle triangles. So I would have to use Pythagoras in this case because I know this side and I know this side and I'm trying to work out the third. There's no angle, so it's not going to be trigonometry, so it's Pythagoras. So I'm going to square the two sides that I know, so 6 squared and 3 squared. I'm trying to work out the longest side, so I want to add them, and then you just square root your answer. So it would be the square root of 6 squared plus 3 squared, and then square root your answer. So it would be the square root of 45, which we could work out really. So square root of 45 is 6.71. The next part is AR. So we need to join A to R up. So A is on the bottom here and R is on the bottom there. So I'm going to join them up like that. Now this makes another type of right angle triangle within this shape. So this angle down here is going to be a right angle, and we're now trying to work out AR. Well, we've just worked out AC. Now it wouldn't be very accurate to say that AC is 6.71 at this stage because of the fact that's not that's been rounded. So I'm going to say that AC is actually the square root of 45. And looking at this, well, I know the height is going to be the same as this height here because it's a cuboid, so the height stays the same. So I know that this is 4 centimeters, so I can add that on. And now I've got my right angle triangle. I know two lengths and I'm trying to work out a third. So it's going to be Pythagoras again. So I'm going to square the two sides. So it would be the square root of 45 squared, 4 squared. I'm trying to work out the longest side of that triangle, so I'm going to add them. And then remember, you will need to square root your answer. So when you do the square root of 45 squared, it does actually just give you 45. So if you'd rather type it in like this and then square it, then you can do that and you just get 45. And then we're going to plus 4 squared, so we get 61. So AR is the square root of 61, which is 2.79. So it's okay to round my answer now because that's my final answer for that question. The next one then, angle RBC. So with angles, you need to look at the middle letter, which is B, and join it up to the other two letters. So if we join B to R, and B to C is already joined up here, isn't it? So the angle is now this one here. So it's the angle between the two lines that you make, joining up B to R and B to C. So it must be the angle there between them. So that's the one that we're trying to find. We know that this is 4, we know that this is 3, and it's just a right angle triangle. So you could draw it out if you think that helps. So like if this point was R and this point was B and this was C, but we're trying to work out that angle, and we know RC is 4 and we know that is 3. So this time we're trying to work out an angle, so this is going to be trigonometry. So I'm going to label my sides, H, O and A. I know O and A, so therefore it's going to be the tan triangle that I need to use. So for an angle, you need to cover up the bottom left always, and that means we've got to do O divided by A, so 4 divided by 3. Press the equals on your calculator, and then we're going to do tan to the -1 of your answer. I will change my pen in a minute. So 4 divided by 3 equals shift tan answer. So that gives me 53.13. Something to point out at this stage actually is a lot of people look at this question and it's something like 3 marks in the exam, and yet they still think, oh, I know it's going to be 45, because they think it's just split in half. Now, if it was a square on the side and you split it like that down the middle, it would make a 45-degree angle, but this is a rectangle. That's not going to make a 45-degree angle there, and it wouldn't be 3 marks in an exam for just writing 45 marks. So just always use your trigonometry on it, don't try and think it's 45. The final one, ARC, so again, if we look at the middle letter R, which is here, if we join R to A, that would be this line, and R to C would be this line. So therefore we're trying to work out this angle here at the top. So if we draw this out, I'm going to change my pen, hang on. Okay, so if we've drawn it out, so we've got A is down the bottom there, R is there, and C is there. So I know that this side is 4. We've said this is the angle that I'm trying to find. And is there anything else that I know? Yes, I know that AC is root 45. So we're trying to find an angle again. It's trigonometry. We can't use Pythagoras for an angle, so it would be longest side. Here's my angle that I'm trying to find. So this one would be my O, because my angle's up there. And therefore this one must be A. I know A and O, so it's going to be TOA again. So cover up bottom left, we always do that for an angle. O divided by A, root 45 divided by 4. Press equals, so root 45 divided by 4. And now we're going to do tan to the -1. So tan to the -1 of your answer, and so that makes it 59.19. The last, oh no, it's not the last question actually. The next one on this sheet looks like this. So this is very similar, it's just not as step by step as the other one. So we're trying to find AG. So if an exam question goes straight into finding this one, it's just about learning that the first thing you're going to have to do is think of the right angle triangle that goes through that box. So it goes up here, down here, and then it goes underneath it like this between A and C. So that's going to be the triangle that we're going to use to help us. But at the moment, we've only got one length on it. So we're going to have to try and work out this length first. And this would be more marks in an exam. It would be probably about four marks at least to try and work out AG. So first thing is to work out AC. So I'm going to use this triangle here to work out AC. So 12 squared, 4 squared, because it's Pythagoras. Add them because I'm trying to work out that longer side AC, and square root. So 12 squared is 144, 4 squared is 16. So that gives me 160. Now that's not my final answer, so I'm not going to round that yet. I'm just going to write that AC is the square root of 160. Hopefully you can see that. If not, it is here. So that just tells me this length. And now I'm going to use this diagonal triangle through the box to work out A to G. So I'm going to square this, and again I'm trying to work out the longer side, so I'm going to add them. So it's going to be the square root of 160, now this pen's running, squared plus 8 squared, and then we're going to square root that answer. So you'll get an answer of the square root of 224, which is 14.96. is going to make the 6 go up to a 7, so 14.97, and it will be centimetres. Right, the next one, angle GAC. So middle letter is A, which is here. Join it up to G, join it up to C. So those are the two lines. It must be this angle that we're trying to find. So I'm going to just redraw it. You don't have to redraw it. If you can do it without, that's absolutely fine. So that is 8, because that's that side. This we said was the square root of 160. And then we're trying to work out this angle here. So label your sides, longest. Here's my angle, opposite, adjacent. So I know O and A, again, it's Toa again. Do you think I should change pens? I probably should. So we're going to cover up the T, angle always bottom left. We're going to do O divided by A, 8 divided by the square root of 160, and then it will be tan to the minus 1. Okay, I'll give in. I'm going to change my pen. Hang on. Okay, so carrying on, I'm just going to re-go over that. So 8 divided by the square root of 160, and then tan to the minus 1 of the answer. So that is 32.31, and that would be degrees because it is an angle. The final question then is just a slight extension of what we've just been doing. So it's a different shape this time, so a pyramid. So you can see here they've dropped down what we call the perpendicular height because it's making a right angle there with the base. So we've got to find the height of the pyramid, which is obviously going to be the height I've just mentioned. So this one here. We know it's making a right angle here. So what we want to do ideally is, if it's making a right angle here, it's also going to make one on that side. So we want to be using this right angle triangle really. Now I know the diagonal length there is 12, but again I don't know this one, and I'm going to need to know this one to be able to work out then the third one. So having a look at this down here, we've got another right angle triangle. If I do this one out more like dotted lines, so going up here, down here and across there, we've got another right angle triangle because the bottom is a square, isn't it? It's 8 by 8. So this would be a right angle. So I can do 8 squared plus 8 squared and square root it, and then I'd have to have my answer because I only want to go from the middle to the edge. So 8 squared plus 8 squared equals the square root of 64 plus 64. So that's going to be the square root of 128, but that would be the whole distance, so I need to divide it by 2 to get what ms is. So this is working out what ms is. So square root of 128 divided by 2 is 4 root 2, and I'm not going to work out that as a decimal at the moment. I'm just going to keep it as 4 root 2. And now my final step is just to do Pythagoras again on this triangle here. So I'm going to square the two sides I know, so 12 squared and 4 root 2 squared, put that in brackets so we know the whole thing is squared. This time I'm trying to work out a shorter side, aren't I, because 12 is the longer side. So this time I'm going to minus them, so it's going to be 12 squared minus, put the 4 root 2 in brackets. So that equals 112, and now I will square root my answer, and I can round it because it's the final step. And so we get 10.58 centimetres, and that's to 2 decimal places.